Okay, so we're going to go over your skills practice. So please make sure you're following along and filling in the numbers as we go. If you have questions, maybe write the questions on the side of your paper, maybe write them down on a different piece of paper, maybe put them on the questions board for things that you may have questions about. So we're going to start with this bottom section where it says write each fractional rate as a unit rate. So for number 1, we have half a cup for 3 batches. So you're going to have 1/2 over 3. Unit rate is 1 on the bottom. To get 1, we divide by 3. And when you divide 1/2 by 3, you get 1/6. So 1/6 cup for 1 batch. Number 2, 5 over 1 1/2. Unit rate, 1 on the bottom. Divide by 1 1/2 on top and bottom. 5 divided by 1 1/2 is 3 1/3. So 3 1/3 mile in 1 hour. Number 3, you have 2/3 over 1/4. Unit rate is 1 on the bottom, so divide by 1/4. 2/3 divided by 1/4 is 2 2/3. So 2 2/3 pounds for 1 tablespoon. Number 4, 2 3/4 over 3 2/3. 1 on the bottom, divide by 3 2/3. 2 3/4 divided by 3 2/3 is 3/4. So 3/4 gallon for 1 minute. Number 5, 6 over 1/5. Divide by 1/5. 6 divided by 1/5 is 30. So 30 pages for 1 hour. 5/6 over 4. Divide by 4. 5/6 divided by 4 is 5 over 24. So 5 over 24 yard for 1 dress. Okay, flipping the page. We're going to start making our proportions. So number 3 says the average person breathes 35 pounds of air per day. At any rate, how many pounds, so that's what we're trying to find, of air will the average person breathe in 7 days? So we're comparing air to days. So what we're given is 35 pounds of air for 1 day. And we're trying to figure out pounds of air for 7 days. So if you notice, 1 and 7 is going up. So we're multiplying, and we multiply by 7 because 1 times 7 is 7. So if we do it on the bottom, we do it on the top. So you get 245 pounds of air. Number 4, you're on a hockey team. Your time on the ice is 12 minutes per game. A season is 20 games. How many minutes do you play during the season? So we're comparing minutes to games. So 12 minutes is 1 game. We're trying to figure out how many minutes for 20 games. Again, we're going to multiply by 20 because 1 times 20 is 20. So M equals 240 minutes. Number 5. In an hour, a jogger burns about 4 calories per pound of body weight. How many calories, so that's what we're trying to find, will a jogger who weighs 151 pounds burn in an hour? So we're comparing calories to the weight. So 4 calories for 1 pound. So we're figuring out calories for 151 pounds. It's going up on the bottom, so we're multiplying by 151. C equals 604 calories. Number 6. In the old British money system, 5 shillings was equal in value to 1 crown. Emily had 45 shillings. What was the values in crowns? So we're doing shillings to crowns. So 5 over 1 equal to 45 over C. 5 is going up, so we're multiplying, and 5 times 9 gets you 45, so we're going to do the same on the bottom. So 1 times 9 is 9. So 9 crowns. Number 7. A movie package can be added to a customer's cable TV service for a cost of $8 per month. How much will the additional movie package cost for 13 months? So we're doing dollars to months. So $8 for 1 month compared to D dollars for 13 months. We multiply by 13. So D equals $104. Number 8. 17 trees are saved for each ton of paper recycled. How many tons of paper will be needed to be recycled to save 51 trees? So I'm going to use T for trees and P for paper. So 17 trees for 1 ton of paper equals 51 trees for P tons of paper. 17 times 3 gets me 51. So 1 times 3 is 3. So 3 tons of paper. Number 9. There are 54 girls in a bowling league. There are 2 girls for every boy in the league. How many boys are in the league? So we're comparing girls to boys. So 2 girls for 1 boy equals 54 girls total to B boys total. 2 times 27 is 54. So 1 times 27 is 27 boys. We're skipping 10, going straight to 11. 11. A jewelry store makes $5 profit for each $1 they spend. A jewelry store owner made a profit of $95 on a necklace. What was the original cost? So how much did they spend for the necklace? So we're comparing profit to spending. So $5 for $1 of spending equals $95 profit for S dollars of spending. 5 times 19 is 95. So 1 times 19 is $19. Number 12. During long distance races, a typical sled dog will run at a rate of approximately 9 miles per hour. If a sled dog runs at this rate for 5 hours, how many miles could it run? So we're comparing miles to hours. So 9 miles for 1 hour equals M miles for 5 hours. 1 times 5 is 5. So 9 times 5 is 45 miles. Flipping the page. Now we're going to be setting up proportions and using our means and extremes. Number 1, the Arizona Cardinals won 10 games out of 16 of their games during the 2009 regular season. At this rate, how many games do they need to play to win 50 games? So we're comparing won games over total games, total amount of games. So they won 10 games out of 16 equal to 50 games won out of G games. So in this case, you can kind of tell what it already is, so you don't have to cross multiply if you don't need to. So I know that 10 times 5 is 50. So 16 times 5 is 80. So games is 80 games played. So you don't always have to do cross multiplication, just like before. If you can just automatically tell, then just do that. Number 2, the 18 wind turbines, the 18 wind turbines on Windy Hill are enough to meet the electrical needs of all 6 houses on Breezy Lane. How many wind turbines are needed to meet the electrical needs of 26 houses? So we're doing wind to houses. So 18 to 6 equals W to 26. So in this case, we need to cross multiply. So I'm doing 6 times W equal to 18 times 26. 18 times 26 is 468. Do the inverse to isolate my variable. So W equals 78 wind turbines. Okay, number 3. Between 1990 and 2000, the population of New York City increased at a rate of 32 people every 4 hours. By how many people would the population have increased in 63 hours? So we're comparing people to hours. So 32 to 4 equals P to 63. Cross multiply. 4 times P equals 32 times 63. 32 times 63 is 2016. Divide by 4. P equals 504 people. Number 4. A local survey determined that 4 out of every 10 users have downloaded music at some point. At this rate, out of 60 internet users, how many have downloaded music? So we're looking at people downloading to just users in general. So 4 out of 10 equals downloaders out of 60. Well, I can see 10 times 6 is 60. So 4 times 6 is 24. So 24 users downloaded. Number 5. The string that produces the lowest tone on a piano vibrates 87 times in 3 seconds. How many times would this string vibrate in 12 seconds? So we're comparing time to seconds. So 87 over 3 equals T over 12. Well, we know 3 times 4 is 12. So 87 times 4 is 348. So 348 times. Number 6. A 10-ounce package of animal cookies costs $2. What should a 35-ounce package cost? Assuming the same cost per ounce. So we're doing ounces, $2. So 10 to 2 equals 35 to D. Cross multiply. 10 times D equals 35 times 2. 35 times 2 is 70. Divide by 10. D equals $7. Number 7. On Mercury, you weigh 2 pounds for every 5 pounds you weigh on Earth. You weigh 135 pounds on Earth. How much do you weigh on Mercury? So we're doing Mercury compared to Earth. So 2 over 5 equal to M over 135. Well, 5 times 27 is 135. So 2 times 27 is 54. So M equals 54 pounds on Mercury. Number 8. After walking for 15 minutes, Zachary's treadmill displayed 120 calories burned. At this rate, how many calories will Zachary burn in 65 minutes? So we're doing minutes to calories. So 15 over 120 equal 65 over C. So we're going to cross multiply. 15 times C equals 65 times 120. 65 times 120 is 7,800. Divide by 15. C equals 520 calories burned. Flip the page. Number 9. A hybrid car uses 1 gallon of gasoline to drive 54 miles. How many gallons of gasoline would be used to travel 162 miles? So we're comparing gallons to miles. So 1 over 54 equals G over 162. 54 times 3 is 162. 1 times 3 is 3. So G equals 3 gallons. Number 10. Nicholas owns a pet bearded dragon named Oscar, which is a type of lizard. It typically eats 51 crickets in 2 days. How many days has Nicholas fed Oscar if he has eaten 102 crickets? So C over D, 51 over 2 equals 102 over D. Well, 51 times 2 is 102, so 2 times 2 is 4. So 4 days. Number 11. In an hour, a downhill skier burns about 5 calories for each 2 pounds of body weight. How many calories does a 160-pound downhill skier burn in an hour? So we're comparing calories to pounds. So 5 over 2 equals C over 160. 2 times 80 is 160. So 5 times 80 is 400. So C equals 400 calories. Number 12. You have started your own online business selling DVDs. You sell 24 DVDs per week. How many DVDs do you sell in 6 weeks? So we're comparing DVDs to weeks. So 24 over 1 equals D over 6. 1 times 6 is 6. So 24 times 6 is 144 DVDs. Flip the page. So now in these problems, we're either going to be multiplying or dividing by something to figure out the missing value. So what we talked about, if we're reading from left to right, if the numbers are going up, then we're multiplying, and if the numbers are going down, then we're dividing. So looking at number 1, my 2 values, it's going up, so I'm multiplying. And I'm multiplying by 3. How I knew I was multiplying by 3 is I did 11 divided by 3 2/3. So 8.5 times 3 is 25.5 pizzas. Number 2. My 2 values, I'm going down. So that means I'm dividing. I'm dividing by 4. How I knew that? I did $90.60 divided by 22.65. 12 2/5 hours of work gets us 3 1/10 hours of work. Number 3, my 2 values. I'm going up, so I'm multiplying, and I'm multiplying by 12. How I figured that out was 28 divided by 2 1/3. So 3/4 times 12 is 9 sandwiches. Number 4, my 2 values. I'm going down, so I'm dividing. And I'm dividing by 5 and 5/24. 5 and 5/24. How I figured that out was I did 250 divided by 48. You will have to change this to a fraction in order to figure that out. So my answer is 3 glasses. Number 5, my 2 values. I'm going down, so I'm dividing. And I'm dividing by 3. How I found that out, 120 and 45 divided by 40 and 15. My answer is 5 and 2/9 hours of work. Number 6, my 2 values. I'm going down, so I'm dividing. Anything divided by itself is 1. So I knew we divided by 15 3/5. When you divide, you are going to have to round for the money. So when you get your answer, you get $3.84. Number 7, my 2 values. I'm going up, so I'm multiplying. And I'm multiplying by 4. How I found that out, 403 divided by 103/4. When I do this, I get 50 seconds. Go ahead and flip the page. Okay, number 17. Rebecca and Brian are planning a party to honor the teachers at their school. They each suggest a recipe for apple cider punch to serve at the party. A. For each recipe, write a ratio that compares the number of parts of apple cider to the total number of parts. And we need to do it for each recipe. So I'm going to do R for Rebecca. So apple cider for Rebecca is 1 1/2. Total part means you need to add the 2 parts together. So we need to add 1 1/2 plus 2 1/2. And when you add that together, you get 4 total parts. For Brian, apple cider is 2 3/4 over my total parts, which is 2 3/4 plus 3 1/4. And when you add it together, you get 6 total parts. B. Which recipe will have the stronger apple taste? So in order to figure that out, we find our unit rate. So I'm going to use that 1 1/2 over 4. And I'm going to make my unit rate 1 on the bottom. In order to make it 1, I divide by 4. 1 1/2 divided by 4 is 3/8. B for Brian. 2 3/4 over 6. Unit rate, 1 on the bottom, divide by 6. 2 3/4 divided by 6 is 11 over 24. Now, in order to compare fractions, you have to have common denominators. So I know 8 can turn into 24, 3. So my new fraction is 9 over 24. So Rebecca has 9/24 of apple cider, and Brian has 11/24 of apple cider. So Brian's recipe has the most apple flavor. Okay, 18. Same type of problem. Samantha and Caden are planning an end-of-school party for the computer club at their school. They each suggest a recipe for punch to serve at the party. For each recipe, write a ratio that compares the number of parts of lemonade to the total number of parts. So I'm going to use S for Samantha. And this time it's lemonade. So lemonade is 2.5 over the total. So remember, total is adding those two parts together. So 3.5 plus 2.5 is 6. C for Caden, lemonade, 3 3/4. Total is 4 1/4 plus 3 3/4, which gets you 8. B says, which recipe will have the stronger lemon taste? So again, we need to find our unit rate. 1 on the bottom, divide by 6. 2.5 divided by 6 is 5 over 12. Caden, divide by 8. 3 3/4 divided by 8 is 15 over 32. Now, 12 and 32 have a common denominator of 96. So I know 12 times 8 is 96. And 32 times 3 is 96. So Samantha is 40, Caden is 45. So Caden's recipe has the most lemon taste. Flip the page. Number 20. Melody uses a rate table to keep track of how much she earns as a babysitter based on how long she works. So A says complete the table. B says, what is Melody's unit rate for babysitting? So we are given 3 hours of work for $19.50. So we're trying to figure out for 1 hour how much she earns. So 3 to 1, I'm dividing by 3. So $19.50 divided by 3 is $6.50. So in 1 hour of babysitting, Melody earns $6.50. So now I can fill in for the 1 hour, $6.50. So now I can use that unit rate. This is now your unit rate. Unit rate. And I can use that to multiply all of the other hours to fill in the table. So I multiplied each one of these by $6.50 because that is our unit rate. So C says, determine Melody's charge for 5 hours of babysitting. So I would take my unit rate, multiply it by the 5 hours, and you get $32.50. Looking at D, Melody made $42.25 for babysitting. How many hours did she babysit? So now we're doing the opposite. We're taking what we were given, dividing it by our unit rate. And when we divide, we get 6.5 hours.